If the legislative branch always votes whichever way the wind blows, then we have mob rule. That was Massie last night in Kentucky. He lost, and he said it anyway.
Welcome to the Common Thread. I'm Max.
I'm Blake. And Max, okay, get this. 6 states voted last night, and the story underneath every single result is the same one.
The loyalty test.
Right. So today, Massie's out. According to Al Jazeera, the most expensive House primary in U.S. history just wrapped at over $34 million in spending, nearly $9.4 million of that from AIPAC and pro-Israel groups alone. The Defense Secretary campaigned in the district the day before the vote.
Pete Hegseth in Kentucky will overseeing an active Iran military operation. We're going to dig into what that actually means.
Oh, it gets richer.
And then Texas. Trump just endorsed AG Ken Paxton over Senator John Cornyn 1 week before their May 26th runoff. Cornyn votes with Trump 99% of the time. This is apparently about a 2023 loyalty grievance.
Senate Republicans are not happy. There are real questions about whether that seat is safe in November now.
And then Georgia, where Democrats pulled 53% of primary ballots to Republicans' 45%, that number matters a lot.
It does, because it's not just Georgia. That turnout gap is showing up in every state that has voted this cycle.
So here's the thread we're pulling today. The GOP is being reorganized around one variable, loyalty to Trump. We'll talk about what that costs in November.
Oh, plus, concrete action items at the close. 2 of them. One involves Article 1/6 of the Constitution,
Which you're going to want to read with your family. Okay, let's get into it. Cold open right now. Yeah. If the legislative branch always votes with the president, we do have a king.
Massie said that last night, standing at the podium after he lost.
Right. And cable news clipped the concession and moved on. Nobody sat with that sentence. Okay, so get this. The guy who said that voted with Trump roughly 90% of the time in this term.
90%. Al Jazeera reported this morning he lost the most expensive congressional primary in U.S. history, over $34 million in total spending.
For one House seat in Kentucky.
In Kentucky, where a 30-second TV spot costs a fraction of what you spend in, say, New York.
Okay, so what specifically did the 10% cost him? According to Al Jazeera, 3 things. He opposed the Iran military action, he pushed the Epstein files, and he voted against parts of the big bill over debt concerns.
So, opposing a war, demanding government transparency, worrying about the national debt.
Those were the heresies, and Trump dispatched Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to campaign in the district the day before the vote.
The Defense Secretary doing campaign stops.
Yeah, hours before a planned military operation was reportedly set to launch, by the way.
Totally normal Tuesday.
Totally normal Tuesday in 2026. NBC News had Massie going down 54-46 with 72% of votes counted.
And here's the part that keeps me up a little. His sins weren't actually anti-Trump. They were original flavor MAGA.
Yeah, exactly the question nobody's asking out loud. If you purge the guy who wanted the Epstein files and worried about the debt, what does that tell you about what the movement actually is now?
Massie called it mob rule versus a republic. He said that walking out the door.
Wow.
And the question for this whole week is whether that's just a sore loser framing or whether the numbers actually back him up.
The numbers are interesting and expensive, so let's start there. So here's the part the press keeps glossing over. Galrain won 54-46, according to Al Jazeera, with 72% of the vote counted. Fine, but look at where the money actually came from.
Because everyone's running the Trump wins again headline. That's the easy read.
Right, and it's not wrong, but Al Jazeera broke down the spending, and more than $19 million was spent to benefit Galrain, with nearly $9.4 million of that from AIPAC and pro-Israel groups, not from MAGA super PACs, from AIPAC.
So the single largest driver of this race was foreign policy, not Trump's domestic agenda.
Exactly, and Massie said it himself on ABC the Sunday before the vote. He said, "That's why AIPAC has dumped another $3 million into my race this weekend."
And he voted against foreign aid across the board, right? Not Israel specifically.
Every time. Egypt, Ukraine, Syria, Israel. He's been consistent for years. AIPAC didn't care. They called him the most anti-Israel Republican in the House.
Okay, so here's my question. The press is framing this as Trump flexing his endorsement muscle. And sure, but if you strip out the AIPAC money, does this race even get close?
Probably not. Massie told CBS News he estimated Trump's endorsement knocked him from 80% support down to 60%. AIPAC spending is what made it a coin flip.
Two different operations running the same race. Trump wants loyalty on domestic stuff, AIPAC wants loyalty on foreign aid, and those interests just so happen to align on one Kentucky congressman.
And then there's Hegseth. The Secretary of Defense showed up in the district the day before the vote. NBC News confirmed he traveled to Kentucky Monday to campaign with Galrain, saying he was there in his, quote, personal capacity.
Personal capacity while overseeing an active military operation against Iran.
That is the detail that should stop people cold. The Pentagon's own guidance says presidentially appointed officials should be careful about partisan activity during election years.
And the rally was literally advertised using his official title, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Not exactly a private citizen moment.
For the lawyers, I'm here as a regular guy. The lawyers were not convinced.
So if that's the price of opposing Iran and pushing Epstein files, what does that tell every other Republican watching?
It tells them the cost is real. And speaking of loyalty tests with different math attached, Trump picked up the phone that same day and called another race, one where the guy voting with him 99% of the time apparently still wasn't enough.
Now, flip that on its head. Same day as Kentucky, Trump dropped an endorsement in the Texas Senate runoff against John Cornyn, a four-term incumbent senator who voted with Trump more than 99% of the time. His words, not mine. According to NBC News, Cornyn literally posted that on his campaign website the morning Trump went the other direction. He had a photo of Trump on his pinned post, proposed renaming a highway after the guy.
Deadpan. Interstate 47, named after the 47th president, and it still wasn't enough.
So what was the actual reason? Because that's wild.
Trump said, and I'm pulling this from his Truth Social post per NCBC, he was not supportive of me when times were tough. Back in 2023, Cornyn said his time had passed him by, then endorsed him anyway in January 2024.
So 3-year-old quote, one honest moment, that's what you're paying for.
That's what 99% buys you. Nothing if the memory's long enough.
Okay, and the guy Trump backed, Paxton, he's got his own issues.
Where do you start? Felony securities fraud case settled. Impeachment in 2023 acquitted. His wife filed for divorce on, quote, biblical grounds. According to NPR, Cornyn's campaign was hammering all of this.
Right, so Senate Republican leadership was backing Cornyn hard. And then Lindsey Graham, according to NBC News, said after the endorsement that the Texas race is now going to be 3 times more expensive for Republicans.
3 times! And James Tallarico, the Democrat in this race, already raised $27 million in the first quarter. NPR had that number. He was leading both Cornyn and Paxton in some polls even before today. So let me make sure I'm saying this right. The most expensive Senate primary in U.S. history per NPR. Cornyn spent close to $100 million in ads, and Trump just handed the whole thing to someone who might be harder to elect in November. That's the loyalty calculation. And here's the real question heading into November. Democrats only need a net gain of 4 seats to flip the Senate. NBC had that math today. If Texas is suddenly a real race, the map gets very complicated, very fast. And that's actually the thread connecting all of this. Georgia's got a runoff now. Pennsylvania's governor race is set. Democrats are quietly building while the GOP is running loyalty tests.
The internal audit is expensive. Let's see what the full map looks like.
Switching gears to the rest of the map, Georgia and Pennsylvania, because while Kentucky was burning all the oxygen, some genuinely big stuff happened.
So Georgia Senate first. 3 Republicans fought the right to face Jon Ossoff in November. Nobody hit 50%, and according to NBC News, Mike Collins and Derek Dooley are heading to a June 16th runoff. Buddy Carter's out.
And Ossoff is already sitting on over $32 million cash on hand. He's not exactly shaking.
No, he is not. But here's the number that actually caught my eye, Max. NPR reported Democrats pulled roughly 53% of Georgia's primary ballots, Republicans 45%.
Wait, in Georgia?
In Georgia, and that's not a one-day fluke. Early voting alone, Democrats had a 15-point turnout advantage. The record for early voting in a Georgia primary shattered.
Okay, so get this. In 2022, Republicans had a 15-point early vote advantage. Democrats just flipped that entire gap. That's a 30-point swing in a midterm primary with no presidential race on the ballot. Now, is that real enthusiasm, or is it the energized opposition effect, the wave that shows up in primaries and disappears by November?
I think you have to take it seriously when it's showing up in every state that's voted. NPR tracked it. Texas, North Carolina, Ohio, Georgia fits a pattern, not a one-off.
And then there's Keisha Lance Bottoms, former Atlanta mayor, wins the Democratic governor's primary outright, no runoff needed. According to NBC News, she cleared 50%. She could become the first black woman governor in U.S. history if she wins in November.
Georgia hasn't elected a Democratic governor in 24 years.
Right, so that is a genuine race.
Pennsylvania's a quick one. The governor's race is set. Democratic incumbent Josh Shapiro versus Republican State Treasurer Stacey Garrity. PBS reported Shapiro's endorsed candidates swept their congressional primaries. Democrats are targeting 4 swing districts, aiming at a House majority.
So the scoreboard tonight, Kentucky is the headline, but Georgia and Pennsylvania are the argument. The GOP spent the day fighting itself. Democrats spent the day organizing.
And that distinction between a party running loyalty tests and a party running candidates, that's the thing worth sitting with.
Because it adds up to something bigger, and that's where we're going right now. So here's the thing underneath all 3 stories tonight.
Kentucky, Texas, Georgia, yeah?
The party is being sorted by exactly one variable, not policy, not voting record, not constituent service, loyalty.
And Time magazine got Steve Voss, political scientist at the University of Kentucky, on record saying something that should make every Republican officeholder nervous. He said, if a Republican cannot survive after resisting Trump in northern Kentucky, there aren't many places where a Republican could.
Suburban, ideological, not a working-class MAGA stronghold. That was supposed to be the safe space for independent-minded Republicans.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the rational actor case for what Trump is doing, because I want to be fair to the strategy. A compliant caucus you can actually govern with may be worth more to him than members who occasionally say no.
I hear that. The trade is accept some general election risk in November for a legislature that actually executes your agenda. But look at the math. Democrats need a net 3 House seats to flip the majority. Cook Political Report has 14 Republican seats rated true toss-ups right now.
Wow.
14. And that's before the Texas Senate seat gets priced in. You're running a candidate with a settled felony fraud case and an impeachment on his record into what was already a tightening race. Nothing to worry about there. And the Democratic primary turnout data keeps showing up everywhere. 53 to 45 in Georgia. Similar patterns in every other state that's voted. So the question is whether Trump is making a calculated trade or whether the people running this operation just haven't looked at a November map recently.
That's the thing. Massie himself said in his concession that a legislature that always agrees with the executive is mob rule, not a republic. That's not fringe libertarian stuff.
It's a civics textbook. It's the founders' whole argument for why Article 1 exists.
And the party just spent $34 million to reject it in one House primary.
So what do we do with all of this? We live in districts. We have representatives. Some of them are about to face exactly this choice.
And there's something very specific you can do about it this week, something that takes about 10 minutes and costs nothing.
So here's what you do with all this. 2 things, and they're both genuinely easy.
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me.
First one, find out when your congressional district's next primary is. Not the general, the primary. Because what happened in Kentucky is coming to a district near you. These loyalty challenges are not a national story that happens somewhere else.
Right, and if there's a sitting incumbent who's broken with the White House even once, watch that race. That's where the pressure lands first.
Exactly. Now the second one, and I love this one, Blake, pull up Article 1, Section 6 of the Constitution, the Speech and Debate Clause.
Okay, so for folks who haven't read it,
it is 2 paragraphs, literally. The founders wrote this specific protection for legislative independence in 2 paragraphs, and the core idea is that members of Congress, for any speech or debate in either house, shall not be questioned in any other place.
Right, which means the executive branch cannot punish a legislator for how they vote. That was the whole design.
Read it with your kids. Seriously, it takes 4 minutes, and it answers the exact question this week raised. Did the founders think Congress should be independent of the president, or an extension of him?
Spoiler, they had a pretty strong opinion on that.
Pretty strong, yeah. Hey, here's something from my world, Max. When every vote in a legislative body is predictable because every member answers to one person, you lose the price discovery function of deliberation entirely. A legislature that can't surprise you has already stopped working.
That's a really clean way to put it.
It's what happens when you run Congress like a single-desk brokerage.
Okay, that's the line. So, check your district's primary calendar and read 2 paragraphs of the Constitution. That's the homework. No textbook required.
And talk to someone about it. It doesn't have to be a debate. Just ask the question out loud. What do we actually want Congress to be? The answers are more interesting than people expect. Okay, so here's the one thing that sticks with me from this week.
Yeah?
A guy who voted with the president 90% of the time lost the most expensive House primary in history.
Wow.
90% wasn't enough.
And Blake laid it out clean. Massie's so-called sins were original flavor MAGA positions. The loyalty test has moved past policy entirely.
Right, that's the thread. The GOP is being reorganized around one variable now, and Tuesday night made that official.
If that landed for you, share this with one person who needs to hear it. Subscribe so you never miss a Saturday, and do the action item. Look up your district's next primary date. See if a loyalty challenge is forming near you.
Read Article 1, Section 6 with your family this week. Seriously, it's short and it matters.
Shorter than Massie's concession speech, at least.
Way shorter. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you next Saturday.
Take care of yourselves, and your town needs you in the room.